The United Kingdom's Ministry of Defense intelligence update on Ukraine, June 7, 2023. The Russian-controlled Kakhovka Dam partially failed just before 3 a.m. local time on June 6, 2023. By noon, the entire eastern portion of the dam and much of the hydro and utilities infrastructure was swept away. The water level in the Kakhovka reservoir was at a record high before the collapse, resulting in a particularly high volume of water inundating the area downstream. Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, which sits 120 kilometers, 75 miles away from the dam, is highly unlikely to face immediate additional safety issues as a result of the dropping water levels in the reservoir. The dam's structure is likely to deteriorate further over the next few days, causing additional flooding. The Institute for the Study of War Russian Offensive Campaign Assessment. The destruction of the Kakhovka hydroelectric power plant dam is significantly changing the geography and topography of the Kherson frontline sector in southern Ukraine. Near-infrared imagery, captured at 4 a.m. Eastern Time on June 7, indicates that the flooding is heavily disrupting Russian prepared defensive positions on the southern bank of the Dnipro River, especially affecting Russian first-line positions in Ola Prystan and Oleshki. Various sources reported that Oleshki, Ola Prystan, Kazacha Lahari, and Dnipriani are almost entirely flooded with water levels rising to the height of a one-story buildings in some areas. The Ukrainian headquarters established to remediate the consequences of the dam's destruction reported that as of June 7, 29 settlements are partially or fully flooded, 19 of which are located on the Ukrainian-controlled territory and 10 on Russian-occupied territories. Russian sources published footage indicating that water had begun receding in Nova Kakhovka and had dropped by 30 centimeters, 1 foot. Russian sources also claimed that water levels decreased by 3 to 4 meters in some areas from a high of 10 meters, 33 feet. Water levels in nearby Mykolaiv city reportedly increased by 70 centimeters, 2.5 feet, as of June 7. Flooding will likely worsen and further change the geography in Kherson Oblast over the next 72 hours. The Institute for the Study of War key takeaways today. Ukrainian officials continue to accuse Russian forces of destroying the Kakhovka hydroelectric power plant dam out of fear that Ukrainian forces would land on the southern bank Kherson Oblast. The New York Times reported that engineering and munitions experts believe that a deliberate explosion was the likely cause of KHPP dam's collapse on June 6. Russian forces and occupation authorities are responding to the flooding in Kherson Oblast with a great degree of disorganization, and thereby exacerbating harm to the civilian population of occupied areas. Select Wagner Group-affiliated Russian senior military officers continue to posture as effective commanders to appeal to Russian President Vladimir Putin by capitalizing on high-profile military events. The pro-Teplinsky interview is likely part of an information operation aimed at undermining the Russian Ministry of Defense. Wagner-affiliated commanders' reactive public relations campaigns may not be sufficient to deflect from battlefield realities. Russian and Ukrainian officials each accuse the other state of damaging an ammonia pipeline that runs through Kharkiv Oblast and causing an ammonia leak. Russian forces continued to conduct ground attacks around Kreminna. Ukrainian officials indicated that Ukrainian forces are conducting offensive operations in the Bakhmut direction as of June 7. Russian forces continued limited ground attacks along the Avdiivka-Donetsk city line. Russian sources continued to claim that Ukrainian forces conducted ground attacks on the administrative border between Donetsk and Zaporizhzhia oblasts on June 7. Russian and Ukrainian forces reportedly engaged in skirmishes in western Zaporizhzhia Oblast. Russian authorities continue to restrict international travel for those eligible for military service. Russian officials and occupation authorities continue to establish patronage programs between Russian regions and occupied territories in order to integrate occupied territories into Russia.